What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today I wanted to have a discussion about conversion kits or aftermarket parts in Modern Warfare 3. Because this is a topic that has come up quite a bit, especially with the more recent aftermarket parts. It seems like many of them are just really bad, and there's not much good reason to use them, and therefore a lot of people are just like, what's the point? Why are you guys even bringing these kits to the game when there's no point in ever using them? So the way I'm going to handle this is I actually group the conversion kits into three different groups. We have the bad conversion kits, the ones where there's really no good reason to use them at all compared to the base version of the gun. The sort of okay, like not terrible, but not great conversion kits that maybe could use some adjustments, but I think are fine as they are. They're not great, they're just fine. And then finally, I wanted to share the list of what I consider to be really good conversion kits that definitely have some really good use cases, and you may want to actually check out if you haven't already. And before we get into this list, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I like to see when it comes to conversion kits. For me, I don't think conversion kits should necessarily just be a straight upgrade for a gun. It shouldn't be better in all cases. It shouldn't be the type of thing where the moment you unlock that conversion kit, there's just never any reason to use the base version of the gun ever again. Instead, I think conversion kits should just have balanced trade-offs, and there should be certain areas where they excel over the base version of the gun, so there's a good reason to use them, but that should come with balanced trade-offs. Additionally, I really like these kits or aftermarket parts that fundamentally change how a gun operates. So like changing up the fire type or the fire mode, for instance, I think is really interesting, and it makes it a lot more exciting to unlock that kit, because in that case, it's almost like you're unlocking an entirely new gun because it behaves so different from the base gun. So those are just a few things that I personally really look forward to when it comes to conversion kits. Now let's get into my list of kits and which category I put them in. And we're gonna start this off with the bad conversion kits. These are the kits where I just feel there's no real good reason to use these over the base version of the gun. And in the vast majority of situations, you're just better off using the base version of the gun rather than these kits. And the first one actually applies to two guns, and this is one of the newer ones. This is the Jack Signal Burst for the Holger 556 and the DM56, which I just recently did a full breakdown on. But essentially with this kit, it turns these guns into a 4-round burst. However, with this 4-round burst, we get a very punishing burst delay. It's a very slow burst delay combined with a very inaccurate burst. And to me, that's a big problem. When it comes to burst guns in Call of Duty, I think it should fall into one of two archetypes. Either a very accurate gun with a slow burst delay, so it's high risk, high reward, or a short burst delay, so it's quite forgiving for any missed bursts, but then make it inaccurate within each burst, so it's a bit more of a spammable burst gun. With the Jack Signal Burst kits, this has the worst of both worlds. It's a slow burst delay and it's inaccurate, and especially when you consider how good the Holger 556 and DM56 are on their own without this kit, there's just no real good reason to ever use this kit over the base versions of these guns. So ideally, I'd like to see them pick one of those archetypes, either significantly reduce that burst delay, or keep the burst delay as is, but make those bursts a lot more accurate than they currently are. As for the next one in the bad category, and this one I think is the worst kit in the entire game, this is the AMR9 Etten kit. And again, I just did a breakdown on this recently, but essentially I can just tell you right up front, this kit has literally zero upsides over the base version of the AMR9. And I'm not exaggerating when I say literally. There isn't a single stat that is improved with this kit, and yet there are several important stats that are harmed significantly with this kit. So in my opinion with this kit, if they want to improve it, I think they should have a much faster rate of fire within each one of those little 2-round bursts, to the point where using this kit gives you a faster time to kill potential up close compared to the base version of the AMR9, and then keep the accuracy as horrible as it is with this kit in order to ensure that there's a balanced trade-off there. So then you can at least have a faster killing but less accurate gun, rather than a slower killing, less accurate gun, which we currently have when using this kit. And then finally for my bad conversions, the ones that I feel are just truly bad and there's really no good reason to use these over the base gun, at least in core game modes, this is actually the Rival 9 Jack Headhunter kit. This is the one that turns the gun into a 3-round burst, and it's a fairly accurate 3-round burst, but the problem is it's a 5-shot kill, and there's zero possibility of ever getting a 1-burst kill. And when you also consider the fact that the Rival 9 is the best SMG in the game, at least in my opinion, it's the best, most versatile SMG in the entire game, I would say there's just very few, if any, situations where you're better off using this kit over the base version of the Rival 9. And when it comes to this one, honestly, I'd just like to see a boost to the headshot damage so that this kit can actually live up to its name. It's called the Headhunter kit, and yet headshots are pretty much useless with this, since in the maximum damage range, you have to mix 3 headshots in with a body shot in order to drop that to a 4-shot kill, which, just a reminder, that's still not even a 1-burst kill. In my opinion, at the very least, the headshot damage should be boosted to the point where 2 headshots mixed in with 2 body shots can get you a 4-shot kill. I still don't think this kit would be amazing in that case, but it would at least be a little bit more usable, and it would be slightly more viable to actively aim for the head. And honestly, maybe even make it so it's possible to get a 1-burst kill if every single bullet hits the head. That's going to be a fairly rare situation, so it's not like it would immediately make this gun overpowered or anything. And then I think if it did that, it would really live up to its name, being the Headhunter. And there we go. You might be surprised to find that those are the only kits currently in the game that I consider to be truly bad, where I just don't see any good reason to use them. However, I do have the second category here, which I consider to be not terrible, but also not great by any means kits. And with these ones, generally speaking, you're just better off with the base version of the gun, but I can at least see some good use cases for them, and I wouldn't say they're nearly as useless as the previous category. And diving right into this, I've got the MCW Jack Raven kit. Now, this is the kit that increases our rate of fire with the MCW and therefore increases our time to kill potential with body shots. However, it does take away a lot of the versatility by making it less accurate, and it hurts our range values as well. And to top that off, and I would say arguably most importantly with this kit, you lose the great headshot potential that the base MCW has, where you just have to mix 1 headshot in with body shots to reduce the number of shots to kill. So with this kit, I don't think it's entirely useless if you're just aiming for body shots and you're keeping yourself in reasonably close quarter situations. This is actually going to be a little bit better for you than the base MCW. In saying that though, you sacrifice a ton of versatility, and that's the true strength of the MCW, is its versatility and accuracy. You throw all that away just to make it a little bit better at body shots up close, when if you just use the base version of the MCW and actively try to aim for the head up close, you're now going to be better than the Jack Raven in those close quarter situations, while being significantly more versatile for those mid to longer range situations. So that's why I consider this kit to be not terrible, but definitely not great by any means, and generally you're just better off with the base gun. And we actually see a really similar story here with the DG58 LSW Jack Nightshade kit. And this is the one that basically turns this LMG into a close range assault rifle. So it massively increases our recoil to the point where it's practically useless beyond mid-range, but it does help with our handling and mobility stats quite noticeably, and it also very noticeably improves our time to kill potential within 12 meters, which is a very short range. But with this, if you play to the strengths of this kit, you can definitely see some benefits. And if you're playing on really close quarters maps like Shipment, for instance, I would argue this kit is actually better than the base DG58 LSW. In saying that though, you do throw away a ton of the versatility of this gun, and like I said, it's practically useless beyond mid-range just due to how inaccurate it is, and also due to how terrible the time to kill becomes. And that's why I feel it deserves a spot in this middle category, where I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to a bit of a buff to this, but at the same time, I can at least see some use cases for this. And then finally for this section, I included the WSP Swarm Akimbo Brace kit. And again, this is another one of those scenarios where you can use this just fine. I actually find it quite fun to use the Akimbo Brace on the WSP Swarm, but at the end of the day, I'm just far better off and more versatile with the base version of this gun. And while I can't kill quite as fast up close with the base gun, I'm still killing faster than basically any other full auto gun in the game, while maintaining the ability to aim down sight and actually have a gunfight at mid to somewhat longer ranges, where you're unable to really compete at all with this Akimbo kit. And honestly, I don't think this needs any adjustments or anything. I still think it's really fun to use this kit, but at the same time, I do feel it deserves a spot in this middle category because the base version of the gun is just simply going to be better far more often than not. And this just leaves us with the last category, which I am going to blast through a lot faster since I have less feedback to give on these. These are the kits that I consider to just be good and well balanced, and I feel like there's a good reason to use all of these, but you don't necessarily have to in order to be effective with the gun. And with this one, we have the WSP9 Broodmother kit, which converts it to a 45 ACP. With this, it slows our rate of fire, but increases our damage, so we get a faster time to kill potential up close, but it becomes a lot less forgiving if you end up missing any shots due to that slower fire rate. I think that's perfectly balanced, and I can use this kit or the base version of the gun pretty much interchangeably and find roughly the same amount of success. Then after that, we've got the MTZ762 Carbine kit, and with this one, at least in full auto, it makes the gun clearly better in close range engagements, but you lose some of that versatility, and also it's not nearly as good in semi-auto. And the additional nice benefit with this is it eliminates your idle sway, which is great. Then we have the Pulemyot Bullpup kit, and this one's excellent, arguably better than the base gun actually for 6v6, and I much prefer using this with the kit rather than without the kit. Then we've got the MCW 6.8 full auto kit. Again, this is something I just recently covered in the gun guide for that, and I just consider this to be a great balanced kit where you've got some good balanced trade-offs. You lose the headshot potential, so you can't get a 2-shot kill by landing 1 shot to the body, 1 shot to the head like you can in semi-auto with the base gun, but it just makes it a lot more consistent with those body shot kills. So if you just want consistency aiming for the body, this full auto kit on the MCW 6.8 is awesome. After that, we've got the Core 45 kit, which turns it into binary fire, so it fires every time you pull the trigger and every time you release the trigger. And while for me, since I have a good trigger finger, I prefer just using the base Core 45 with the best fire rate trigger possible, I do think this is a really cool kit that's definitely got some power. It's great for those people that don't have the most confident trigger finger out there, so they can fire a little faster. And I also just really like the fact that it fundamentally changes how the gun operates in a way that I can't remember ever seeing before in the Call of Duty franchise. After that, we've got the Renetti Carbine kit, which again, I think this is just balanced really nicely. It's got some very balanced trade-offs because the base Renetti is a great gun on its own. You don't need to use this carbine kit, but if you do, it basically turns it into like a little pocket SMG. So I'd argue it's a little bit easier to use with this carbine kit, but the trade-offs are balanced. It slows your handling and mobility stats. It slows your swap speed as well. So if you want to swap from a gun to this secondary, it's going to take very noticeably longer than the base Renetti. And to top all of that off, it's a lot less accurate than if you're using the Renetti in burst. And then finally, this just leaves us with the brand new tier kit, which is that rifle kit. And this one, I'll admit, I haven't done a really deep dive into yet, but based on some initial data collection and testing that I've done, this one also seems to have very balanced trade-offs. It significantly improves your one-shot kill potential, which is excellent, especially for a secondary weapon. But in order to compensate for that and keep it balanced as a secondary weapon, you get a significantly slower double action delay or pre-fire delay. This is now roughly 150 milliseconds, which is extremely slow for a pre-fire delay. But since it's a secondary weapon, I do think that keeps it nicely in check, combined with the fact that it also harms our handling and mobility stats. And there we go. That wraps it up for all of the kits. I believe I got them all on my list here. And honestly, I was a bit surprised to see as I was going through this that many of the kits I actually don't mind at all. I think they're balanced just fine. It's just that I think the bad ones really stand out as being very bad. And I definitely think some of them could use some improvements over time. Now, of course, these are just my opinions, and I'd love to know what you guys think about the aftermarket parts or conversion kits in Modern Warfare 3 in the game's current state. What are some of these kits that you think are just really bad and never worth using and definitely need a buff? And are there any kits that you really enjoy using as well? Are there kits that you actually prefer over the base version of the gun? Just let me know all of those thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.